Welcome to Reddit Tea Time. Am I the bonehead for being furious with my father and refusing to go to his wedding? I, 27 male, have 2 siblings, 24 female and 20 male. We used to belong to a family of 5, but sadly our mother passed away from cancer earlier this year. It has been tough for all of us, but has been especially hard on my younger brother, who is currently in college. He failed 2 semesters in a row this year due to difficulty coping with this situation, and is on the verge of being suspended. Only 2.5 months after my mother's death, my father informed my sister and I that he had already found a new girlfriend and was in a serious relationship. My sister and I were shocked and disappointed. Finding a new partner after only 2.5 months seemed rushed and offensive. My sister and I explained to him that while we were willing to accept him moving on to someone else, we were, however, not interested in being involved with this new woman in any way. It was just too soon. We also made it very clear to him that he needed to hide this situation from our brother, who was struggling to pass his classes. This was his last chance, and if he were to fail the semester again due to difficulty coping with the situation, he would be suspended for a year. Our father claimed to understand our concerns and apologized for any added stress this put on us. He also claimed to fully agree about hiding the situation from my brother for now. I hoped at this point that the situation was under control. Sadly, it was only about to get much worse. Around a week before Thanksgiving, my brother was flying home from school for the holidays. At his school, they get around 10 days off before they have to fly back to take their final exams. School is on quarter system. My sister and I expected our dad to stay home to spend time with our brother. After all, this was the first major family holiday since our mother's passing, and we assumed our dad would want to make sure our brother was okay and ready for exams. We were mistaken. The morning after my brother arrived home, not only had our father decided to tell my brother everything about his new girlfriend, but he also just left the house to travel to a different state to spend the holidays with her. Not only did he show blatant disregard for my brother's situation, but also showed no interest in spending the first major family holiday since his wife's passing with his kids. On Thanksgiving, he didn't even text or call me or my siblings to ask what we were doing. My siblings and I were furious with him over this behavior, and we had a huge fight. He basically tried to gaslight us, claimed that we were overreacting, and that we didn't care about his life. He also acted very entitled, demanding we get on board with his new relationship. He then casually dropped the bombshell that he planned to marry this woman next year. Given his blatant disregard for my brother's well-being and overall distasteful behavior, I've decided I won't be going to his wedding, and I basically don't speak with him at all beyond replying yes or no the rare times he does message me. Am I the bonehead? Not the bonehead. You and your siblings need to continue as a family and support each other. Your father is clearly a selfish, entitled human being who would make me wonder at what kind of relationship he had with your mother that he could move forward after only 2.5 months. However, if it was a lengthy terminal illness, your mother and father may have already done their grieving and had their goodbyes long before she died. That consideration should be examined. For all you know, or have not told us, she could have urged him to move on quickly. Your brother, on the other hand, has plenty of issues, and his mother's passing is just one of them. He needs help, and I hope you encourage him to seek it. But 2.5 months after your mom's passing? Yeah, he knew her and was with her before your mother passed. You do not have to get on board with anything. Not the bonehead. Am I the bonehead for yelling at my sister-in-law's husband to be more supportive during her pregnancy? My wife and I, both 35, have been together since high school. As a result, we're both very close to each other's families. My wife has a sister who is 24. I consider her to be my little sister too. I've known her since she was in 1st grade. My wife's sister Mary is expecting a baby, and she is suffering from an illness. Can't remember the name off the top of my head, but just a ton of vomiting and nausea and dizziness. and exhaustion. From what my wife has told me, the condition feels terrible but otherwise is manageable and won't affect the baby. Mary was recently hospitalized for a few days due to dehydration and electrolyte imbalance because of this condition. My wife and I decided to wait until she got home to visit her. We went over a few days ago. At Mary and her husband's house, it was me, my wife, sister-in-law, her husband, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and my wife's brother. We're sitting around and talking. After the initial concern and talks about her health, the conversation became more lighthearted. We're watching the game and eating when my father-in-law mentions to Mary, "In a few months, this will all be past you, and you'll have a baby in your arms. Have you narrowed down the names?" Mary says, "We're trying to, but he's already rejected my top 3 boy names." Something about that really rubbed me the wrong way. I was raised to respect women and appreciate the sacrifice they make to carry a baby. When my wife was pregnant, not only did her say go with baby names, but I made sure that those 9 months were the most relaxing and calm time possible. I picked up every extra shift so she could let go of her crappy job and stay home to rest when her blood pressure got a little high. I did as much as I could around the house too. And obviously the person who is carrying the baby and whose body goes through that pain got to pick the names. I wasn't gonna complain about that. She got princess treatment for all 3 pregnancies, and I still believe I didn't do enough. So him watching his wife throw up multiple times a day, suffer from nausea all day, literally be hospitalized from the pains of pregnancy, and yet he can't give her the happiness of naming her baby what she wants. It set me off, and I pulled him aside a few minutes later in the kitchen and let him have it, basically saying what I said above and outlining how I didn't respect him for his actions in the least. Long story short, my wife believes that I shouldn't have said anything and should have just vented about it in the car. My father-in-law and mother-in-law agree with me. Was I the bonehead? This is ridiculous. You seriously did this? I would never want to see you again if you pulled a stunt like this around my family. Get over yourself. Of course you're the bonehead. This isn't your kid, therefore you have no say in names, or what counts as your brother-in-law being disrespectful towards your sister-in-law. You're the bonehead. Naming is very much a joint thing for most couples. Your wife may even actually resent you for seemingly being uninvolved in the naming of your children. You're the bonehead. Am I the bonehead for not letting my niece wear white at my wedding? My partner and I are getting married in February. On Christmas Day, my soon-to-be sister-in-law asked if her 5-year-old daughter could wear a white dress to the wedding. She told me it was in a shop front in our local shopping center. I was so stunned. I didn't really respond either way. Afterwards, I told my partner, and he said he would speak to his sister. Today I saw the dress, and it is basically a wedding dress, big and white tulle with a detailed floral lace body. This is after she asked us to order her daughter a flower crown so that she can have flowers to match mine. She isn't a flower girl. We aren't having any bridal party as part of our day. Am I the bonehead for wanting to tell her no and refusing to get her a flower crown? You're not the bonehead because not wanting her to wear white is a perfectly normal response. Sister-in-law is not the bonehead because she asked your permission and will hopefully respect your wishes. It is a little rude, but at least she's not just showing up at the wedding without asking. If sister-in-law turns around and throws a tantrum, then yeah, she would very quickly become the bonehead. Not the bonehead if you just say no. This is the bride's day, not little niece day. A different perspective says you're definitely the bonehead. For God's sake, she is 5. So what if she wore white? In my culture, every little girl invited to a wedding wears white. It's every girl's dream to play dress up as a bride. She won't take the attention off of you. She is just a baby. The attention would be positive. Like how cute that girl is, and how amazing that the bride invites kids and let them wear white. It would also make a great picture with her. Like how self-centered can you be to get jealous of a 5-year-old? But it's not about the child. It's about the parent and the overstepping boundaries and pushing a story that is non-existent. Her sister-in-law is probably upset. Her daughter isn't the flower girl, and the fact that there isn't a flower girl, so she's trying to make it happen. It's not sister-in-law's place to do anything of that nature. Am I the bonehead for refusing to babysit a special needs step-nephew? I, 24 female, recently moved to the same city as my brother. My brother has my niece Olivia, 10 female, with his late wife. He's been married for 2 years to Kate, who has a kid from a previous relationship, Tim, 7 male. Tim is autistic. Tim alternates 1 week with his dad and another with my brother and Kate. I agreed to babysit Olivia today, while my brother and Kate run some errands for 5 to 6 hours. Tim was supposed to be with his dad. The night before, Kate called and asked me to watch Tim as well, as there was some emergency at his dad's, and he dropped Tim off at her place. Kate said Tim would be fine just watching some movies and then a nap. As long as I stick to this routine, there should be no problem. She would provide the movies and the snacks he was comfortable to eat. The thing was, I planned to take Kate to a cafe she told me she wanted to visit. It was supposed to be a surprise. Having to stay home with Tim would greatly change the flow of our day. In addition, I have met Tim like twice and don't know him well. I have no experience with special needs kids and didn't think I was equipped to look after one. Due to these reasons, I refused to babysit Tim. I told them I could only take Olivia as previously agreed. My brother and Kate called me a bonehead for not helping out. They told me an extra kid cost me almost nothing, while their only other option was to bring Tim to Kate's mom, who can't drive and lives almost an hour away. They still brought Olivia over and we had a great time. They picked up Olivia 2 hours later than they were supposed to, and Tim was crying. My brother and Kate said all this could have been prevented had I just helped out, because Tim would be relaxing at my place instead of stuck in traffic and getting cranky. I just told them emergencies happen and I really was not ready to be their plan B. Kate called me playing favorites and not seeing Tim as my family. Am I the bonehead? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they always planned to have you watch Tim and just were going to spring it on you when they figured you couldn't say no. If you barely know this kid, you are not the right person to watch him. I would not watch a kid who was likely to have a meltdown due to being around a person he barely knows in a strange place. Ever. Not the bonehead. The initial agreement was for you to babysit Olivia, and that was it. You made plans specifically for a girl's day out. Being called up barely a few hours beforehand to be asked to babysit Tim throws a massive wrench in those plans. As you say, you would likely have to completely cancel your day out just so you can sit at home to keep an eye on Tim while he watches movies. This is even if he was okay to be at yours if he is neurodivergent. Being in a foreign environment with someone he doesn't know might well have been grounds enough for him to melt down and cause all sorts of issues for you and Olivia. I also just want to say, an extra kid costs nothing? Get her to say that to paid babysitters who are paid by child by hour. They'd laugh her off the phone. Lastly, honestly speaking, Tim isn't your family. He isn't blood related to you in any way whatsoever, unlike Olivia, who is actually your brother's child. Your niece. That's it for today. Thanks for stopping by. Take care and I'll see you in the next Reddit story.